Yes, my people, good day. We have a very interesting video for you today. Working on a friend of mine's Porsche Boxster. Said he wants to replace a CV axle on the driver's side rear. And he said, let's make a video. I was like, you know me, I'm always ready to make a video. So we will be replacing the left rear CV axle. The boot is dry rotted and torn, and it's slinging grease all over the inside of the wheel. That's unacceptable. So we start out by setting the rack, and there are lift points under the body. And I love to place the rack, the lift, on the actual points. I don't like picking up on anywhere else with these cars. I also, because it's rear engine mount, I love using this asymmetrical lift because I am able to pull the car so far forward and position the lift arm almost directly under where the engine transmission assembly is. You know, because it's heavy in the back, so we don't want any problems. But you see that? Somebody call it an earthquake test. Never really heard it like that before, but that's how I shake it, just to make sure. If it's gonna fall, it's best for it to fall off 6 inches up than to be falling off 6 feet up. Yes. So right now I get up my trusty stool. The knees are not what they used to be at one time, so we're working smarter, not harder. So I'm on my little stool and pull out the Milwaukee. I am looking there. Some of these vehicles have wheel locks. I thought this one did, but it didn't. So we're just pulling them off one at a time. We're not in any hurry or any stress. It's the weekend, helping out a friend. So we're just rolling. So we have the wheel off, and then now we're going to take a look and see what the components look like. I'll show you what the back of the wheel look like here in a minute. I had broken the nut loose on the axle, and that's where some use the punch and just tap the axle back in, make sure that it's really loose. I forgot to get the footage of us breaking the nut loose. That's the axle. That's the CV boot, and you see how torn it is. You see it's torn right there, and all of the grease has slung out of that. So this exchange between this friend of mine, he saw on YouTube. Here I'm talking about YouTube here, but he said he saw where someone got this axle out without removing the exhaust, just slid it that way. So I'm just giving him a hard time, but we're getting to work. It's kind of rusted under here, and anytime I'm going to be pulling so many bolts, especially if it is exhaust bolts or even the skid plate bolts and everything, I put a little bit of lubrication. No, the PB blaster can is still full of fluid, and you see the pressure almost gone out of it. So I saw this video with a guy that says, no way. So I'm going to try that myself. So moral of the story, before you pull all these bolts, get a little lubrication going.
They get teeth moving, all them things.
Sony. The company.
Sony.
Hot.
Hacked.
Yeah, oh, damn. He's telling me about Sony hot. I thought he said hot, not hacked. These Jamaicans, boy, I'm telling you.
Start out doing one thing.
All right, check this out. You just loosen these clamps up, they slide. See that?
See? There you go, right there.
That's the first surprise so far. But these clamps, they slide. So I lubricate it generously, loosen it, and I am using the back of the hammer just to kind of get some movement going on. And then when I get it moving enough, that PB blaster will work itself in between the sleeve and the exhaust, and then I'll be able to slide it towards the catalytic converter, because that's the straightest portion. Notice the portion on the left has a curve to it, so it will not be able to slide enough going in that other direction. So that's why I'm sliding it towards the cat. So tricky hammering sideways. You know, it's an art to it, but it works. It's not the fastest, but it works. We need to get the axle bolts on the inside. It's an 8 Allen. This is the combination. I use a super long extension from a 1/2 inch to a 3/8. Put it on here. This is a wobble end or a ball end Allen wrench, and I use this. Why I use this is because this is so thick it does not flex when you're tightening it, and I can just reach all the way in from here all the way up to where I need to be and get onto the head of these Allens. See how tight the room is in there? When we pull in these bolts, the axle will rotate. And to stop it from rotating, real simple trick, you just use that screwdriver there. It fits into these fins here, right? With the caliper. And then it just jams it. And then when you want to rotate, you just remove the screwdriver, rotate this to where you need it, and then set it to a new spot. It's as simple as that. If you are triggered by the screwdriver touching up against the caliper, you can just wrap the screwdriver in a shop rag or something to prevent it from chipping. But it did not chip this. So I'm just letting you know. Maybe I should have just wrapped it and it'll be fine. But that's what you can do. See how flawless it is working, my process. It just keeps it nice and firm. And you can just move it from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and so on. And there it is. We got them all off, and I shifted it out of place to make sure that when we're ready, it's ready to go. So now the exhaust is in the way because this axle has to come down and out, and the exhaust is right below it, along with this skid plate, which doubles as a reinforcement plate. So we're removing the plate, removing the bars, remove the exhaust, remove the sway bar, and then after we do that, we're able to now take the axle out from below, and then we'll be able to install the new axle. Yo, working overhead, especially with this Milwaukee in hand, it is not exactly light, so it gets tiring, especially when you're talking about 12 to 15 to 18 bolts total. So it happens, but this is where it gets interesting here. See, I'm trying to break these loose. I had them soaking from the beginning, so they've been soaking for at least 15-20 minutes, and they're not coming loose. And we also see what happened earlier when I was loosening the exhaust clamp. I'm not breaking anything else today. So guess what happened? So we'll get out the torch and warm that up a little bit and go from there. Alright. Everybody's like, anytime I bust out my torch, everybody's like, oh, why don't you buy one of the inductive things? Alright. Oh, that's good. There is an art to using the acetylene torch to achieve the results that I pursue. And here is a classic example of how to do it in my own experience. You might do it differently, but this is the way I do it. Notice I am going from nut to nut, bolt to bolt. Seems like I am on it for a long time, but while I am heating it, I am watching the color of the fastener change from its dull dirt color metal to orange to red. I don't really get it too red, but I definitely have it change color. Now, on the side that you're heating it, it's going to get hotter than the other side, so you have to flip it and try to get the entire nut the same complexion. And I am going from one to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And after I go all the way around for all three of them, all of them look uniform red, then is the time when I would take the torch off and then proceed to try to break it loose. So this is where we do it. While I am using the torch, I am also paying attention to the flames of the torch that bypass what I'm trying to heat and pointing at something else. spring. Yeah. Down the loose already. Look at that.
The other side of spring.
Yeah, nut and bolt. Loose already. So difficult that was earlier. Huh.
Okay, so I'm changing on there already. As it over.
And this one.
Can I put a new one in there?
Oh, you mean? Yeah, we can replace them all if you want. It would be nice to put all three. Would be nice. But do we have them?
The rich one with all this.
Oh yeah, they're still loose. These other two are posing a little bit of a challenge to get the ratchet onto it. Whenever I am removing a nut and bolt assembly, always hold the bolt and turn the nut. So that's why you see me trying to get the ratchet onto it. Also, if it's kind of tight, I don't want to be using the 12 point, I want to use the 6 point. But it's not cooperating, so that's why you see me put the wrench now onto the nut. And now I'm turning the bolt. But they were kind of loose, so it worked out for me. But if they were super tight with no heat, I would not be trying to turn the bolt and holding the nut. And if I had to turn it, it's a last resort. You just don't want to do it that way. Well, buy a good fire extinguisher, a good size one, not the one at Home Depot, and just keep it next to you when you start working, or if you're working in a tight quarters, which I have done before, is you get the garden hose ready, and if so we're gonna work under here, so right, and there's like sound deadening and maybe some insulation and stuff which is flammable. I just soak everything with the garden hose and then start doing what I'm doing. So when the heat start get to it, it have to burn off the water first. And then even if something do catch on fire, you have the garden hose there. The thing with the fire is, unless you put fire to the fuel tank, you know what I mean, it's going to be small before it get big. So once you catch it, pay attention and catch it, you're good. You get big now out of hand, like something catch on fire, you don't have an extinguisher, you don't have no water, you don't have no hose. Now you panic and you gone get reinforcement in that period of time now. That's when everything go scatterwampus. Yeah, that nut was hot, still hot, but we have to keep working. And I do have a glove on. Granted, it's not the thickest glove, but you know what I mean. It get a little bit warm. You're not going to burn you. It just warm you up a little bit. After a while doing this, you know what I mean, your fingertips become a little bit callous. You understand? So now I need to tap this bolt out. Notice that I thread the nut back on, and then I'm using a hammer. I'm not just striking the threads on the bolt, because then I won't be able to get this nut back on. So I thread it back on like halfway down, then I tap on it, and it was able to come out a little bit. Thread these bad boys out. Whee! Hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. Ole, ole. Whoa, hot. You know what I mean? Now we're on to the hanger bolts. It uses 2 bolts for the hanger. One of them was previously broken. I did not break that one, and there's only one remaining. We saw the luck that we had with the exhaust clamps earlier, and I am not taking the risk on the last hanger bolt. We don't want no drama. This thing drove in, it should drive out. So heating this one up too as well, so that we are able to break it loose without any kind of drama or anything like that. No, I am giving you the real time here of what we're doing, not speeding anything up. It takes a little while to get the heat to penetrate the way we want it to penetrate, because we don't want to put the torch out and put the torch back in. You understand? Red, still hot, real hot. Make it cool down a little bit. One tip when you're using this process of heating stuff up to break it loose, if it is too hot and you're getting ready to put the impact on it, it might twist off because the metal is soft. So you do give it a moment for it to cool down a little bit and then hit it. Look at that. I didn't even have to do anything. It just came loose. That's hot. That's hot. Which is a 13. One last component is in the way of success, and it is the sway bar. Say again?
That's not under tension.
Right now, with both wheels off the ground now.
Okay.
If one was down and one was up,
Okay.
it would twist it like so. My friend had asked if the sway bar was under tension at this point, which is a good question, and the answer was no. If both wheels are off the ground, it is not under tension. But if one wheel was up and one wheel was down, then it's under a twisting force and it would be under tension. Alright, yeah, touch on something back there, so now. Don't go too crazy with the hammering on the cat when you're trying to just slide it off of there. I am gingerly applying a little motivation. I am not going buck wild, okay? But it needed a little bit of motivation to get it off. This is what it's looking like under here now. We're cooking with grease now. That's where we were. And here we are now. Time for the axle to get out of there so that we can get the new axle in here. So let's go. Come on, man. Let's go. I'd already removed the nut from the other end and then used my punch to slide the spline through the hub. And here we are. It came out pretty easy after everything was removed. But it wasn't too bad. I was expecting more of a fight. So here's the old part. Here's the new part. I did not supply the parts. It was supplied by my friend. Looks about right. We have to transfer these bad boys over. So that's the failure point right there, so. So that fail, and then this dry rotted. It did its time. In age, not necessarily miles. So this axle did not come with bolts or washers. So you have to transfer the ones from your original axle onto the one that you purchased. They're usually pretty tricky when you're installing them because the length of the bolt and then the CV boot rubber gets in the way, and you are putting two bolts in with that spacer at the same time, and it's a new axle. It's aftermarket axle, so it doesn't just slide in there. So you have to kind of motivate it and be patient. It'll get in there, but I was not liking how it was fitting.
Like here's another tool.
Coded?
No, like off-centered, like not even.
I think the edges of these metal pieces causing you to have to thread it. So I'm gonna get the tool, protect them in there. Let's see. It might need to just be threaded here. To avoid hammering on the bolt to get it all the way through, I'm just running it through with my trusty Milwaukee ratchet. That way there's no chance of separating the joint. As I said, we're trying to get in and get out. We're not trying to create any work.
You can sit flush.
Sit flush. Let me go over one.
Yeah.
Go over one and see. That might be it. All I'm trying to do here is to have this washer, this collar, sit more flush when I'm installing it on the new part, because on the old part it sits flush. So I'm just going over one bolt hole to see if there is a alignment process that I'm just checking myself to see if I am doing something incorrectly. So I just switch it up a little bit just to see if it looks just the same, and then we go from there. Maybe it just It's just crappy. That fit nice at all.
This now look like it's straight. Look on this. It's close here, some out here, so.
Yeah. But this comes off separate from that, so you're probably slipping out of place a little bit, but
you tighten it up.
But that is not what I'm focusing on. I am focusing on. This is what I'm focusing on. You see this right here, sir? You see how this metal flush with that? This is not flushing.
Yeah, take off one more and just put it on it and see.
Yeah, see with that one then.
No, but just metal without the screw them.
I understand what you mean, but I see it without it. No, go down in there. See it kind of stick up, cock up. It's like this.
Then I build a hole them right.
Something just now. But that one doesn't look too bad. This one. Alright, let me try this one. Cause this one look a bit better. It is times like these you find yourself in situations where you have to figure out if you should press on or if you should stop. So that's why we're looking at it from all angles and just moving ahead, because sometimes you have to just press on and keep soldiering, and sometimes you have to say, you know what, let me get something different. But we chose to press on. It's okay. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe when you tighten it up, it just
everything just squeezed together.
It gets squished, but damn.
I don't know if I have the attention to detail in designing it.
I mean, it's like it'll find its way home. That's what they say. So we have that. I usually like put a little bit of NECs on here, and the splines, everything look decent. Yeah. Put the anti-seize here. Just a little bit. Some people don't like using this thing. Them say, oh, it gets on everything. Just use a little. Just like that, you see that? Boom. Put a little bit on the threads. That's just me. Boom. Alright. Boom. Alright. Yeah, get it. Right, greasy. Right. Are you gonna put it back together?
Yeah.
I just asked my friend if he was paying attention to all I was doing, because he will be the one putting it all the way back together. I am here to assist him, but he is an enthusiast and he turns wrenches on his Porsches. And he's good at it. But some things he needs a little help with, and I am more than happy to assist. So I'll assist him over the hump, but he got to take it from there. And that makes him improve with his skill set. And he really surprises me with some of the things that he's able to accomplish. Neither.
Look kind of off center.
Yeah. But what I will do is try one of them in a start. Don't like how they feel. Like start them by hand. When I started to thread these bolts in to the flange, one of them started to tighten up, and then I'm looking at the fitment of the axle into the flange, and it just was not going in flush. So I put the power tool away, and I'm just doing it by hand now, so I can feel for any kind of resistance or any problems with the threads, just to make sure we don't create any work. We're trying to get in and get out. Always remember that, not to create no work, but working above your head, it is challenging. Your arms get tired real easy, and you don't want to be frustrated because of muscle fatigue, locks. Yes, you don't want to do that. Get frustrated because of that, and then now jump the gun and cause a problem. So if you're tired, walk away. That's the opening there, not sitting flush. So I'm just being patient and then just trying to get this thing to flush up.
Yeah, but it's supposed to go select in the hole in the probably, yeah, you know, probably, probably. Yes. I like to see when the axle go home, and you just catch the bolts. You know like the bolts from up there.
I'm supposed to try.
Pull them in, you know. There you go. There. That's what I like to see right there. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's what I like to see right there. Nothing crooked. You understand? Nothing crooked. You understand? So the only other thing I'm fighting with now is just the design of the axle and these washers not flush. Alright, we know that's caught right there. We know that started right there too. We're not cross-threading nothing there. Confirm that the other one's not cross-threaded as well. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. So going into my more comfortable position now to tighten these up. Just get it started there, but I want more comfort. So you get me? Boom. Turn off this guy. Turn these off when you're done with them. Alright. Alright. Now look prominent. I don't tighten one of them all the way up to begin with. I kind of go in a 4 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like a triangle, a little bit. See how easy that a while ago? When I talk about set parking brake. You don't prefer the set parking brake than just do that a while ago? Eh?
I was giving my friend a hard time because on the YouTube video that he watched with the guy doing this job, a DIYer, he set the parking brake so that he could tighten these axles up. So I'm just rubbing it in a little bit. Talk about setting the parking brake.
This is an old Matco. It's probably like 4 teeth in this. Let me get one a little bit more modern. Ha! Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh to the rescue. This is what this sound like. Whoa! 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 Boy, let me tell you. Yeah. Flying high, you know how I feel. Alright, no. No, just let me use this ball head, this ball style Allen to loosen them and to run them up, but when I go tighten them all the way, I use a regular straight one, so I don't put that much stress on the ball. You understand what I'm saying? Would be nice to have this in a locking, but don't buy a new one just for that. Alright. We'll get the straight Allen now. So I'm going to use this one now to do the final tightening. How much foot-pound? Probably like 45. How many of them? 2, 4, 6 of them. Each of them holding 45.
See that love tap that I give it every time I put it on a new Allen bolt? It is to make sure that the Allen goes all the way down and gets fully seated. Sometimes if you don't do that, the tool is sitting right at the top of the Allen bolt and you go to turn and you round out the top portion of it. Now you're starting to get into some deep waters there. So every time you see me slide it onto the Allen bolt, I give it a little love tap to make sure that it's fully seated as I torque it to manufacturer specifications.
That should be it then. This was supposed to tight already. Get tight already.
Now remember, this is not a cylinder head gasket we are tightening here.
Check out, make sure it look flush.
It doesn't take a tremendous amount of torque to keep these axles in, and there are 6 bolts. So once it's nice and tight, it's gonna be alright. 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 It's gonna be alright.
Good job, man. Alright. Tighten this back up. 32. See that bad boy right there? That joint tight. You can work that loose, boy.
And one more motivation from the engineers at Milwaukee, and that's it. Yeah, man. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bless. Yeah.